Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gauranga Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Jaya. Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada, Vaishnav Thakur Srila Prabhupada Jaya. Jaya Acharya Thakur Srila Prabhupada, Acharya Thakur Srila Prabhupada Jaya, Acharya Thakur. Jaya Patita Pavan Srila Prabhupada, Patit Pavan Srila Prabhupada Jaya. Jaya Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada, Bhakti Vedanta Srila Prabhupada Jaya. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Patita Pavan Srila Gurudeva, Patit Pavan Srila Gurudeva. Gurudev, 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 Jai Jaya Gurudev, Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Prirajagacharya Astotar Sati Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaya Charanarvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Kalachanji Ki Jai. Shri Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody for attending today's inaugural program for this year, 2025, which is shaping up to be an amazing year. Started this morning with an amazing kirtan that Bibi Govinda Maharaj led, and all the other devotees chimed in. It was just way beyond amazing. And before the kirtan started, Maharaj spoke about the glories of the holy name. And of course, this whole program is being recorded. It'd be really nice if you can hear that part. If you didn't hear what he said, if you could hear that, it's really heartwarming. It really makes us understand the super excellent significance of the holy name. That there is, I think, there is nothing more important than the holy name, and why that is so important to us, and why we are called the Hare Krishna movement because of that. That's what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to be identified as. That is our brand. So today, in today's class, I thought I'd speak from a statement of the four Kumaras to Prithu Maharaj, which actually ties in a way that allows us to bring the holy name home, not just to our head, but to our heart, and then to the hearts that we add to our heart, starting from the Supreme Lord Himself, who is already sitting in our heart, like that. So this is the program of Vrindavan. And so I thought I'd speak about the glories of Vrindavan and show how that was tied in very nicely by one of the Astasakis. Her name is Tungavidya. Tungavidya, give a little bit of a history so that you understand the significance of this amazing gopi. Just by her name you can understand the name Tunga Vidya. Means it has something to do with knowledge in a way that is way beyond amazing. So as we all know, Radharani, her name is Vidyavadhu, which means that she is the origin of all education. She is the origin of all knowledge, like that. And she is the consort of Harinam Prabhu as Vidyavadhu, like that. So there are times when Radharani is asked some very difficult questions that would require very deep thinking as to what the answer would be. And she will always refer those questions to Tungavidya and say, you please speak. And Tungavidya would start by saying, there is nobody who knows more about the answer to this question than you, Radharani. So if you will allow me, I will speak. And this is the mood of the devotees. We are Gopir Bharatu Padakamalir Dasa Dasa Anudasa. We always speak on the basis of the permission to speak, the authority to speak given by our superiors, and sometimes by our peers as well, because they are also our superiors, because this is the way Krishna Conscious Association works. That its ultimate purpose is to drive us back home to Goloka Vrindavan, which is the original planet of Sri Krishna. So I'm going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. And it's chapter number 22, verse 26. If any of you have your phones, you can bring that up. But we'll just chant the word for word after we repeat the whole mantra. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpaturbhascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. So this verse starts with, please repeat after me. Yada Ratir Brahmani Naishtiki Puman Acharyavan Jnana Viraga Branghasa Dahatya Aviryam Hridayam Jiva Kosham Panchatmakam Yonim Ivotitho Agnihi. So transliteration. Yada, when. Ratihi, attachment. Brahmani, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Naistiki, fixed. Puman, person. Acharyavan, completely surrendered to the spiritual master. Jnana, knowledge. Viraga, detachment. Ranghasa, by the force of. Dahati, burns. Aviryam, impotent. Hridayam, the soul. Within the heart. Jiva Kosham, the covering of the spirit soul. Pancha Atmakam, 5 elements. Yonim, source of birth. Eva, like. Uttitaha, emanating. Agni, fire. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So please repeat after me. Upon becoming fixed in his attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by the grace of the spiritual master, and by awakening knowledge and detachment, the living entity situated within the heart of the body and covered by the 5 elements burns up his material surroundings exactly as fire arising from wood burns the wood itself. Again, upon becoming fixed in his attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by the grace of the spiritual master, and by awakening knowledge and detachment, the living entity situated within the heart of the body and covered by the 5 elements burns up his material surroundings exactly as fire arising from wood burns the wood itself. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is said that both the Jivatma, the individual soul, and the Paramatma live together within the heart. In the Vedic version, it is stated, Hriday ayam atma. The soul and supersoul both live within the heart. The individual soul is liberated when it comes out of the material heart or cleanses the heart to make it spiritualized. The example given here is very appropriate. Yonim ivotto agnihi. Agni, or fire, comes out of wood, and by it, the wood is completely destroyed. Similarly, when a living entity increases his attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is to be considered like fire. A blazing fire is visible by its exhibition of heat and light. Similarly, when the living entity within the heart becomes enlightened with full spiritual knowledge and detached from the material world, he burns up his material covering of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky, and becomes free from the 5 kinds of material attachments, namely ignorance, false egoism, attachment to the material world, envy, and absorption in material consciousness. So these are the 5 layers that cover us. Again, those 5 layers are ignorance. Number 2, false egoism. Number 3, attachment to the material world. 4, envy. And 5, absorption in material consciousness. Therefore, Panchatmakam, as mentioned in this verse, refers to either the 5 elements or the 5 coverings of material contamination. When these are all burned into ashes by the blazing fire of knowledge and detachment, one is fixed firmly in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one takes shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and advances one's attraction for Krishna by the spiritual master's instructions, the 5 coverings of the living entity cannot be removed from the material heart. Again, unless one takes shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and advances one's attraction for Krishna by the spiritual master's instructions, the 5 coverings of the living entity cannot be removed from the material heart. The living entity is centered within the heart, and to take him away from the heart is to liberate him. This is the process. One must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and by his instruction increase one's knowledge of devotional service, become detached from the material world, and thus become liberated. An advanced devotee, therefore, does not live within the material body, but within his spiritual body, just as a dry coconut leaves detached from the coconut husk, even though within the husk. The pure devotee's body is therefore called Chinmaya Sharira, or spiritualized body. In other words, a devotee's body is not connected with material activities, and as such, a devotee is always liberated. Brahma Bhuaya Kalpate. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 26. Srila Rupa Goswami also confirms this. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilashva apya avasthashu jivan muktaha sa uchyate. Translation: whatever his condition may be, One who is engaged fully with his body, mind and speech in the service of the Lord is liberated even within this body. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we can see from this verse that Srila Prabhupada in the purport is urging us to separate from the body by spiritualizing the heart. Srila Prabhupada defines Krishna consciousness as, he says, the meaning of Krishna consciousness is that one always lives with Krishna on that spiritual planet Goloka Vrindavan. One always lives with Krishna on that spiritual planet Goloka Vrindavan, and that he is simply waiting to give up this body. So from this verse we can understand what it means to give up this body. It means that we must spiritualize the heart. And even though we're in the body, we're no longer in the material heart. We've separated ourselves. So what is the process? So that process is given by the Kumaras to Prithu Maharaj here, that process is devotional service, pure devotional service. And pure devotional service, in this age, in every age, the holy name is very prominent. But in this age, it is not just prominent. It is the only process. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalo nast eva, nast eva, nast eva, gatiranyatha. 3 times repeated in the positive, that it is the only way, the only way, the only way, and 3 times in the negative, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So, this spiritualization process, because we are emotional beings, we have to bring our emotions to bear in a way that our consciousness is fully imbued with Krishna and his pastimes, Lord Gauranga and his pastimes, and the pastimes of the associates. And to do that, we chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This name, it is described, is non-different from the supreme couple, Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada also defines as non-different from Gaura Nityananda. That these are the 2 couples that are being referred to in the Maha Mantra. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and Radharani and Krishna. So, Prabhupada describes that Krishna and Vrindavan are non-different. Actually, Radharani at one time, when she went to Kurukshetra with the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, she made a very powerful statement there, and that is that I do not prefer the company of Krishna if it is not in Vrindavan. That actually Krishna can only be fully understood in Vrindavan, and Vrindavan can only be understood by understanding Krishna. These 2 are inseparable, Krishna and Vrindavan. And so again, going back to the Gopi Tungavidya, in Lord Chaitanya's pastime, she came as Prabodhananda Swami, Prabodhananda Thakur. And Prabodhananda Thakur was actually in another mat, you might say, or process of Krishna consciousness. And Lord Chaitanya personally preached to him, and he became a very ardent follower of Lord Chaitanya. So he describes Vrindavan so that we can understand in our hearts what type of feelings should we have in our hearts, so that we become firmly fixed in loving Krishna, in loving Radharani, in loving Vrindavan, and all of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. How can we do that? Because as Srila Prabhupada says, the meaning of Krishna consciousness is that one always lives with Krishna on that spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan. So we should always, in our hearts, be in Golok Vrindavan. And first we have to bring it to our minds, our head. We have to bring it to the head first. From the head we can bring it to the heart. To bring it to the head, we have to hear statements that actually tell us about this. And this is why Krishna Katha is very important. To hear the pastimes of Krishna. As we hear the pastimes, what happens is, by the repetition of those pastimes become firmly fixed in our head. From there it comes to the heart. From there it actually connects with the super soul, Krishna himself, in the heart, and connects with others around us. And then we have the association of sadhus, sadhu sangha. And the purpose of that sadhu sangha is actually association with Krishna. And that comes in Kali Yuga in the form of the holy name, Harinam Prabhu. And Harinam Prabhu, as I said, also has a consort who is Vidyavadu. Just like Krishna has a consort, Radharani. Radharani becomes Vidyavadu, and she is even mentioned in the Siksashtra, the first verse yesterday that Maharaj read. Cheto Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagnirvapanam Shrekirva Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam. Vidyavadu Jivanam. So, who is Harinam Prabhu? He is the life of Vidyavadu. So, that means that the holy name is actually the heart of all knowledge, the heart of all education. Srila Prabhupada, when he was on this planet, he gave some instruction. He gave many instructions about different things that we didn't quite follow through with because there were so many instructions, so much to do. Try to keep the movement on the same track and not get deviated, this, that, and the other. Some of the instructions weren't followed through, but the disciples knew about those instructions, so they passed it on to their disciples like that. And one of the instructions was that a university should be built where everything that is taught, the heart of the teaching, is the holy name of Krishna. Now that's a little revolutionary. Can you imagine teaching law in the middle of the university course? The professor makes you stand up and chant Hare Krishna and dance, sing and dance. I mean, it's unimaginable, but it's going to happen. Because Srila Prabhupada said that is the way that proper law can be understood. Without understanding Krishna, without understanding the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, there is no meaning to law. There is no meaning to anything in life unless you first attach to the holy name, and then in the middle also attached to the holy name, and in the end also attached to the holy name. You know, in terms of prasadam, as you know, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was quite a connoisseur of taking prasadam. So we joke about the Gujaratis, you know. In India, there is a state called Gujarat. Yeah, these Gujaratis, they start with sweets. They start their meal with sweets. And in the middle, they have sweets also. And when they finish, they have more sweets. No wonder that they have so much diabetes in Gujarat. But the point is that they feel that the meal is really the sweet. That's the meal. Everything else is meant for this, that, and the other, but the essence is the sweet itself. So for us, the essence is the holy name. So, of course, Prabodhananda Swami, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, when he wrote the Sri Vrindavan Mahimamrita, where he speaks about Vrindavan, has many verses, but I'm going to say some verses so that we can understand how important Vrindavan is to us and what the condition of our heart should be. Our heart should be Vrindavan, because that's when Krishna will reside in it as Shyam Sundar Krishna, as the complete Krishna. And Radharani will join him. Prabhupada defines the super soul as Lord Krishna, the spiritual master and their associates sitting in the heart. That is the definition of the supersoul. So how do we actually bring this science, this art, because there's always two parts to anything. There's the art of it and the science of it. The art of it is the internals. The science of it is the externals. And the internals account for 80% of reality. The externals account for 20%. So unless inside we are not Krishna conscious, outside it's only going to be a show. And you'll fool nobody, because there is no way to showing Krishna consciousness to anybody unless you can preach to them and make them Krishna conscious. This is why Prabhupada said, preaching is life. That this is a preaching movement. We have to preach at all times. If you want to really, really, really have the holy name etched in the heart, then we must preach the holy name to others, so that they will etch the holy name to their hearts. And that is the proof that there is the holy name sitting in our hearts, genuinely, like that, with love, like Maharaj was saying yesterday. When Gopakumar was told, how do you chant? He said, with love. How do you do with love? By reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam is the story of Krishna, tells everything about Krishna, and we come to see how great a person he is, how such an amazing person he is, and how lovable he is. And this is why I was saying, if you can hear what Maharaj said this morning or last night before he started the kirtan for the midnight arti, he made a very important statement. He said that earlier too, but at that time he really brought it home. And that is that Krishna loves each and every one of us individually. He wants us to be special, a special flavor. He doesn't want us to behave like others. He wants us to be who we are. So there is a flavor in our chanting of the holy names, a flavor in our attachment to the holy name, a flavor to our relationship with Krishna. Krishna wants to taste that flavor. You see, it's a little like, I sometimes give the example of Shukta. How many of you know Shukta and don't know Shukta? Sorry, don't know Shukta. Anybody? You know, all know Shukta. Right? Shukta is a Bengali preparation that's very bitter, and they eat that in the beginning, unlike the Gujaratis. And what it does, it really prepares the tummy for the food to be digested properly. That's what it does. And actually gives a contrast. Just like in the jewelry store, we see that the jeweler puts the jewelry on a dark mannequin. Why? So that the jewelry will look very shiny. It will stand out. So when you eat shukta, then prasadam will taste very nice. Because it's really bitter, you know. Now the opposite is what? What's the opposite? Okay, gulab jamuns. Okay, very good. Very good. So gulab jamuns are the opposite, right? So imagine you're popping a gulab jamun in your mouth and it tastes like shukta. You'll spit it out, right? Immediately and say, that's not gulab jamun. Something wrong with this gulab jamun. It's gone bad. It's not bad, it's shukta. But because you were trying to taste gulab jamun, that wasn't the taste you were looking for. This is exactly what happens when we don't behave like our self with Krishna. Krishna wants to taste us. He's not looking for another flavor when he's with us. He's looking for the flavor that each and every individual one of us is. So when we're chanting, that flavor is what we're giving to Krishna. And we're giving that flavor, what is in our heart is very important. Because that is what we're going to give, right? So here, I'm going to read just some of the verses. I just chose some of the verses because they sort of very nicely encapsulate our philosophy in a way that is very emotional, deeply moving, and helps us understand what are we doing when we're chanting Hare Krishna? What is it that we're doing when we are doing kirtan, when you're doing japa? This is exactly what should be happening. So in verse 6 he says, if the Vedanta is the conclusion of all the Vedas. This is Tungavidya speaking, okay? So it's going to be a little shocking how she speaks, because it's just very deep knowledge delivered in a way that sort of blows you out of the water when it comes to understanding philosophy. We may think we understand philosophy, but unless we've gotten rid of those 5 layers that we just read about, ignorance, envy, attachment to this world, material consciousness, like that, unless we've rid of those 5 layers, we don't understand spirituality. Let's just put it this way, we don't. Because only a spiritual person, excuse me, can understand spirituality. But we're trying to. So this is where these statements become very important. He says, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, if the Vedanta does not directly describe Vrindavan, why should that matter to me? I mean, that's very deep, right? And then he now becomes accusatory towards those who write the Vedanta and do not directly describe Vrindavan. If the faulty logicians, who are like serpents living in the Vedic literatures, ignore Vrindavan, why should I care? If even the devotees of the Lord, do not understand the glories of Vrindavan, how does that affect me? Even if my heart were pierced by thousands of thunderbolts, I would never leave Vrindavan. This is the exact statement Prabhupada describes in the meaning of Krishna consciousness, that one always lives with Krishna on that spiritual planet Golok Vrindavan. In Dallas, we are very fortunate. A number of amazing Maharajas who visited this temple, some of whom were actually temple presidents at this temple, have described that this temple is actually a petal of Vrindavan that has sprouted in Texas. We are actually in Vrindavan when we're in this temple. But are we there in our consciousness is the question. Consciousness-wise, are we in Vrindavan while we're in this temple? Because we're in the petal. We're right here in Vrindavan. Now, where is our consciousness? If our consciousness is outside, this is what Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur is saying is very bad for us. Worse than thousands of thunderbolts piercing you. I mean, one thunderbolt piercing you is bad enough. Thousands. I mean, that's an amazing statement. Then he says, I meditate on Vrindavan where the cuckoos sing the 5th note. Now this is something very important, the 5th note. The 5th note of the flute is actually Radharani's favorite note. And it is the note that actually brings to us her loving care. So it's very important. The cuckoos actually know that note in Vrindavan. These birds in Vrindavan are not ordinary. Prabhupada describes that they were great sages in their previous lives. And they were meditating on Krishna very, very deeply and became successful in that meditation and became birds in Vrindavan. And they're always singing the glories of Krishna, and they always look forward to hearing the flute of Krishna. That gives them the greatest pleasure. So he says, I meditate on Vrindavan where the cuckoos sing the 5th note, the flute plays splendid melodies, peacocks sing and dance, vines and trees bloom, splendid and charming forests are wonderful with many birds and deer, and there are many splendid lakes, streams and hills. Now we might think, why does he bring in the vines of the tree? Prabhupada describes in Vrindavan, the vines sometimes feel that they're not so recognized. They feel like that everybody's given so much more time. We don't so much get time with Krishna. So Krishna allows them to come to the material world and become great Vaishnava spiritual masters, where many disciples love them so much that they become embarrassed by all the attention they're getting, all the great love that they're getting, and they feel completely fulfilled. Isn't it amazing how things happen? This is Krishna. Krishna always takes care of everybody, even the particle of dust. Even the particle of dust. When we go back to the spiritual world, you'll see descriptions are given. These particle of dusts have a human form, a body-like form. The particle dust is a human form. And every time Krishna walks by, those particles jump up to actually, because they've touched the feet of Krishna, they become so ecstatic, they jump up and they start chanting, and the Yamuna, which is flowing, stops flowing, waits for those particles to come and join the Yamuna, just like how devotees come to the Yamuna and bathe, and the Yamuna becomes electrified with ecstasy. This is done by the particles of dust. If that is what the particle of dust is capable of, can you imagine every living entity in Goloka Vrindavan is way beyond amazing. This is what we're meant to be. It's like Maharaj said yesterday, that when someone even considers the idea of chanting, means that they have decided they want to chant. Then what happens? Fear starts trembling. Fear starts trembling. This is just contemplating the fact that they want to chant Hare Krishna. Not even started chanting yet. They've just decided, I think I'd like to chant. And fear starts trembling. Oh my God, I'm going to lose the company of this person. I've been controlling this person for so many lifetimes. He's my best friend. I'm going to lose my soulmate. That's painful, right? But that's what happens. And then I'm going to jump quite a few slokas here, because I want to come to some of the slokas that go very deep for our hearts to meditate on. In verse number 23, he says, when patiently tolerating hundreds of kicks, millions of insults, and the constant onslaught of hunger, thirst, cold, heat, and hundreds of other sufferings, penniless, agitated, shedding a great shower of tears, and calling out the names of Sri Radha and Krishna in a piteous voice, will I wander in the land of Vrindavan. So sometimes as devotees we notice, right, how difficulties befall us. Those difficulties are not as bad as what is being described here. So whenever any difficulty stalks us, gives us association, we should jump right back into the heart in Vrindavan and continue with the glories of Krishna. Because these glories will actually give us all the heart, all the solace to understand this is the nature of the material world. What can you do? If you're in the ocean, you're going to get wet. Don't complain, why am I wet, when you're in the ocean? You can fully expect to be wet. So similarly in the material world, you can fully expect to be insulted, for things to be said to you that are very hurtful, for people not to reciprocate. Radharani actually says, the greatest pain in this world is the fact that people don't reciprocate. So that's going to happen to us as we are devotees. And then in the next verse he says, how important are the most powerful earthly kings for us. Today we don't have so many kings, but we have wealthy people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, right? Like that. Amazing personalities. He says, how important are they? How important are all the demigods? Imagine. Of course we got the demigods standing here, so no insultment to the demigods. These are all devotees. And by the way, they accept that. They actually pray to Brahma and to Lord Vishnu. May we be born on planet Earth in the family of devotees so that we can practice devotion, because this is the launch pad from going back to Godhead. You cannot go back to Godhead unless you come first to planet Earth, because this is where the embassy of Goloka is, sitting in planet Earth. We're already here. We're in the embassy. Let's put our application in, get the visa stamped, and get the heck out of here. Shouldn't have used that word. Get out of here. Hightail out of here. Or whatever you want to call it. How important are all the demigods and sages? Even the sages. I said, Durga Vidya is very powerful. When she speaks, it's amazing. How important are the countless material opulences which come and go like the scenery in a dream? How important are even the liberated devotees in the spiritual realm of Vaikuntha? For those of us who have made residing in Vrindavan our only goal of life. This is our only goal that we have to make. That I am always in Vrindavan. And to be in Vrindavan, we should know the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. This is why the Srimad Bhagavatam is very important. This is why we must stay in the association of devotees who have heard these pastimes, who have lived as part of these pastimes, because Krishna allows us to live. In the dreams, those pastimes come and you see yourself in the pastime. And you wonder, wow, this is amazing. This is Krishna. This is the power of chanting the holy names of Krishna. So, in many ways, this program that we do in Dallas, Kirtan 50, is the most important program we do in Dallas. Because it starts the year with us understanding the power of the holy name, the importance of the holy name, and the importance of the association of those devotees who are so imbued with always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now try this out. Anything you do, whether you're brushing your teeth, whether you're taking prasadam, whether you're lying down in bed to take rest, whether you're walking, even when you're breathing, add the holy name and see the difference. There is a world of difference when you add the holy name. I remember when I first joined in the 80s, early 80s, there was a formula called the Jack formula in Krishna consciousness. And the Jack formula said, just add Krishna. That's the Jack formula. Anything you do, just add Krishna. So in the same way, if we just add the holy name to anything and everything we do, there are people that I know who before they wear the cloth, will touch the cloth to their head and chant the holy name, and then put the cloth on. They see everything in connection to the holy name. Before they eat the food, how many of you know Devamrita Maharaj? Nice, good. I should ask the other way around. So amazing Maharaj. If you ever have lunch with him, you will see that between bites, he will chant Hare Krishna. He'll take a bite and say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Take another bite, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Then another bite, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. He literally chants between bites. And he just enjoys prasadam. You can tell he's enjoying prasadam. He's in ecstasy while he's taking prasadam. Amazing devotee. Of course, many amazing devotees in our movement. But Prabhupada also said that we should always be chanting. He was asked one time, why do we have to chant 16 rounds? And the person kept repeating. It was actually Lokanath Maharaj who was asking this question. And he kept repeating. And then after a while, Prabhupada sounded like he was a little upset about that question. So he said, why 16 rounds? Prabhupada says, why 16 rounds? You should chant 16,000 rounds every day. That was the end of questioning on how many rounds we have to chant. His point is we should always be chanting. Everything we do should be connected to the holy name. And if we do that, make this year, 2025, everything, every breath, whether you're breathing out, holding the breath out, breathing in, holding the breath in, or merging the two breaths. These are the 5 breaths that we have. In any of those breaths, add the holy name. Keep the holy name. Now the holy name can also be chanted in the mind. It's not always that you have to chant it audibly. Chanting it audibly is the best. Why? Because then the tongue and the ear are engaged, and when the ear is engaged especially, and the tongue is engaged, the mind doesn't go anywhere. Because the mind loves blabbering. So it allows, it actually instructs the mouth, please blabber all day long. And please hear blabber all day long, because that gives me pleasure. See? So instead of blabbering, if you say Hare Krishna, if you chant Hare Krishna, the mind is waiting, right? When is it going to stop? When is it going to stop? So I'm getting to blabber again. But while he's hearing the holy name, what is happening to the mind? The mind is becoming purified. Mind is becoming purified. After a while, the mind feels pacified. And then the mind becomes a friend. Then the mind always wants to chant Hare Krishna. This is the reversal, right? So, for us, let's make 2025 a year where every moment of our life we are living in Vrindavan. And when we're living in Vrindavan, it means we're staying in the association of Radha and Krishna and their associates. So we're always chanting their names because that is how they've come to us. They've come to us in the form of the holy name and said, we would like to associate with you. We love you dearly. No one loves us more than them. So let's accept that love. Then you won't feel the lack of love from anybody else because their love is so overwhelming. You'll be embarrassed. All you will be doing is giving love to others and expecting none in return. That is why Lord Chaitanya says, Trinadapi shunichena, tarorapi seishna, amanina manadena, kirtanaya sadaharihi. So this is our process. Today is the first day of 2025. Like Prabhuji very nicely said, New Year ki jai. You know. So let's make it victorious. Jai means victorious. All victories to 2025. It's going to be a ride. You will see that it's going to be a ride because there's some more years left of the shift that's happening from Kali Yuga to the new age, the golden age that Lord Chaitanya set in motion. So it's a few more years to go before the Kali Yuga effect is fully gone. So yes, there will be many issues that we'll be facing in our lives, but nothing like the beauteous opportunity of chanting the holy names of the Lord, doing kirtan and associating with the devotees, and living the verse that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavatam, Satatam kirtayantu mam, yatantascha dridhavrataha, namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. That we're always with Krishna when we're doing kirtan, in the association of devotees, with great determination, with a lot of love in the heart. Always I hear when the kirtan leaders are singing, they always beseech everybody, please sing from the heart. Please take every word, every syllable, and place it in the heart with full love, and then chant. And that is why this temple becomes Goloka Vrindavan completely when that happens, right? You notice, like yesterday this morning, when we were doing the New Year's ceremony that we do at midnight, welcoming Radha Kalachandji, and the deities in the altar, of course all the devotees were here. How many of you were here at that time? You noticed, right? There was just an energy that's just an amazing, 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 and I can keep going on for lifetimes with that word. Energy. And you know, the devotees, how they chimed in with Maharaj singing, right? Going boom, you know, and then some other emotions, right? And you could feel that. You could just tangibly feel that this temple was like levitating. It was like, it wasn't on firm ground. It was levitating with pure love of Radha Kalachandji and the deities and the devotees. Now I wanted to say one more thing because I would be remiss not saying this. But we have a wonderful devotee in our community. All our devotees are wonderful. Please don't understand that I'm trying to say one is a wonderful devotee. All the best devotees. All of them are the best. But he has a bit of a emotional challenge, which makes him get a little angry very quickly, sort of like. And as an administrator, he's one of the leaders in our temple. So devotees have a situation where, not often, sometimes devotees have a situation where they feel that he's been too heavy with them, like that. And I'll name the devotee. So he was standing in the hallway on Friday night when we started with the program, Kirtan 50, and he saw the devotees coming in, and he realized there were some things that were not going right. So his nature is he will correct it. He'll make the correction. But then he was seeing these devotees coming in, and he became amazed. He wasn't seeing devotees, he was seeing Vaikuntha people coming in. And he said to me, I'm sure he told this to others as well, but one of the persons he spoke to was me. He said, I was just blown away by the fact that all of the people who came to Kirtan 50, who are in Kirtan 50, are actually all from Vaikuntha. They're all Vaikuntha people. And he said, that urge that I had to say something, to make a correction, I forgot all about it. I was just overwhelmed with ecstasy that I was so fortunate to be in the association of the people of Vaikuntha. So thank you all for coming to this program. Those of us who are from Dallas, so very happy to have you over. And as Maharaj was saying in one of the classes, we're always here to help serve you in any way. If there's anything, it actually walks right in. We're here to serve you in any way. And I was just talking about you, Dharma Prabhu. You came in a little late. It's fortunate you came in a little late. So, anything we can do for you, please understand that our mood here is that whatever we can do, this mood is led very nicely by our wonderful temple president, Nrsimharupa Prabhu Ki Jai. But I have to say that because it's not easy being a temple president. And especially in the early phases when you're sort of like trying to get hold of everything that's happening. Because we always come from a situation of dysfunction. It's dysfunctional, then less dysfunctional. And then next crop comes in, they see it dysfunctional, and they become even less dysfunctional. Until it becomes completely functional when we're back again in Goloka Vrindavan. So it's a little bit of a valley, like that. So, yeah. So, the mood is that if there's anything we can do for you, please do not hesitate, let us know. Don't feel like you're putting stress on us, you're putting pressure on us. You're not. You're giving us ecstasy. It's a little like going to a billionaire and saying, I know another way of making another $100 billion. What do you think the billionaire will say to you? You're my best friend. I'm going to forget my wife, I'm going to forget my children, and you please come and tell me what it is all about, then I'll go back to my wife and children. But temporarily, he'll forget even the most beloved people. So for us, whenever we have the opportunity to do any service, it actually gives us unlimited pleasure. And please come back to Dallas as often as you can. Please make this your home. One of the dreams that we have is that we'll buy 1,000 homes in this area, and then we'll turn this into Kalachanji city. So we'll have our own police force, our own mayor, our own administrative system, and we can show the world how a proper town should live, how a proper neighborhood should be. Then we can give them the example, because the world badly needs examples. We can show them the example. So like this, of course, there are other centers around America and around the world also thinking similarly. So it's a bit of a competition. So we invite you to please come to Dallas and help us with this nice vision. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.